What's up, everyone? This is Quest for Tears, and I'm back this week. We are doing a tier list for Star Wars, I guess. Star Wars movies and shows a little bit. Let's just get into it. All right, so yes, as I said, we're going to do a tier list for Star Wars movies and TV shows. Although, as I looked at this list, I realized that it's not very updated with the Disney Plus shows. It has The Mandalorian, and that's about it. So that's fine because I haven't seen any of the other shows. And mostly I just wanted to rank the movies. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to rank those things in the comments. Let me know what your S tier is. What do you have an F tier? You know, it's Star Wars. What are you guys thinking? I'm not sure if you're going to agree with my list or not, but we're going to find out. And just make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps to grow the channel. If you're enjoying these videos, I'm having fun making them. Hopefully you're enjoying watching them. But I'm not going to take too long. This is going to be a super long list, but we'll see how much I blab about each movie. Let's pull up the list. All right. So looks like we're going to kick it off with the original Star Wars, A New Hope. How will I rank these? So I guess I'm just going to rank them as how do I feel, kind of the classic thing that I've been doing. Do I have, a thirst to watch these again? What's my general take on them? I'm going to rank them just amongst Star Wars things, not amongst all movies or shows of all time. So this is just going to be among Star Wars related things. Where do I put this? So A New Hope. I mean, this kicked off everything. It certainly began my interest in Star Wars. And honestly, that interest has waned over the years. I used to love Star Wars, and I don't know. I haven't been as interested in it lately. But that's not going to keep me from ranking things. So, A New Hope. Among all the Star Wars movies, I want to put it as a B right now because it's decent. It's that, original Star Wars story. I may move it, but I mean, let's be honest. It introduced lightsabers and everything. That was super cool. But in comparison to what's been released since, the lightsaber, the action, all that stuff, the battles, it's pretty bland. Like the Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi fight scene, it's pretty terrible. And I'm not ranking the whole movie on that, but it is what it is. Now, normally I would just go in order, but I'm going to kind of pick and choose here. So let's just go right down the list. We'll start with the original trilogy. Then we have Empire Strikes Back. This one, and by the way, if you haven't seen Star Wars and stuff, I mean, I'm going to be talking probably spoilers. So just if you don't care, great. If you care, you probably shouldn't watch this video. But Empire Strikes Back. The story gets a little bit better here. This movie ends on a cliffhanger, sort of, making you want to watch and see how the saga continues, how it wraps up its first trilogy. Here's the thing. Everybody loves Empire Strikes Back. Typically, a lot of people will say this is the best one of the original trilogy. I disagree. I'm not a Boba Fett fan. Never have been. Don't really understand why people like Boba Fett so much, but he's introduced in this movie. We get the classic finding out that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. That's another thing. There are classic scenes in this movie for sure. I think I'm also going to put it as a B. Yeah, I don't know. I'm never one to super like the middle of a series that much, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I move things around. But then we're going to get right into Return of the Jedi. And now, of the original trilogy, this is my favorite. And by this third movie, we're wrapping up, this particular storyline. The lightsaber battle towards the end, it gets significantly better than, A New Hope. So I think I'm going to give this one an A. Oh yeah, of these three, it's certainly the one I'd rather watch. Now we move into the prequels, which came years later, had massive hype. Here we go. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So this came out years and years later. Practically, I want to say it came out in something like 1999 or something around there. Late 90s, I can't remember. But so much hype around these movies. And at the same time, so much hate for these movies. For one, I think I saw Phantom Menace like 3 or 4 times in the theater. I was torn. There are parts of this movie that I really like, and then there's parts that I don't like. So, let's look at it. So, on one hand, we have Darth Maul. Darth Maul is arguably one of the coolest Sith Lords that has ever been introduced. This movie also introduced Jedis at their prime, lightsaber battles and everything super awesome. I'm definitely, when it comes to Star Wars, more of that Jedi fan. So once the lightsaber battles were kicked up a notch and everything, that was really what drew me in. This movie had a lot of epic moments to it, but what is negative? Now, a lot of people would say Jar Jar Binks is the negative. Honestly, Jar Jar Binks doesn't bother me hardly in the slightest. What does bother me, unfortunately, and I don't mean to rip on child actors or whatever, there are so many good ones. The Anakin Skywalker, I just think the casting was poor. The kid just wasn't that great of an actor. And I've seen some really good child actors, and I don't mean to rip on him. I know in real life he's had a lot of struggle with this role, and it was a big role. It's a big thing to put on a kid. But unfortunately, I didn't like him that much in the movie. The casting, that's the hardest part for me going back and watching this movie. But that all being said, this is an A rank to me because over the years, and I grew up with the original trilogy, over the years I have grown a fondness for the prequels. They are probably my favorite Star Wars movies for the most part. So, we'll see how that goes with the rest of this tier list. But that moves us into episode 2. We kind of got, we moved forward in time. Anakin has been recast and he's a bit older now. So some people don't like Hayden Christensen. Is that his name? I don't even remember. It sounds right. Anyways, the actor who's playing Anakin in this, they think his performance is a bit stiff and everything. But I mean, let's really be honest with ourselves. A lot of people put a lot on the original trilogy. They think it's the greatest thing and whatever. It is a cheese fest if you want to really look at it. Some of the cheesiest lines, it's not that great. I mean, I don't know why people remember it overly fondly. They think it's so much better. Star Wars has always been pretty cheesy. And in some ways it makes sense because George Lucas said he made these movies for kids. They weren't made for adults, for geeky, nerdy adults who want to fight over this stuff. He made these movies for kids, for families. It makes sense. They're great family movies in that regard. So episode 2, Attack of the Clones. This had one of the coolest scenes. I mean, to this day I get giddy when I think about it. But Yoda lightsaber battle. When that happened, when I was in the theater, I nearly crapped my pants. Not really, but it was I was so excited for that. I've always loved Yoda, and to see him go nuts in a lightsaber battle, it was crazy. I'm going to put this at, I think, an A. What's going to qualify as the S tier? We've got Revenge of the Sith then. This really took the story. I mean, the prequel thing is basically the birth of Darth Vader. So Revenge of the Sith got dark. Anakin, he starts really following into that Sith path, and I mean, he does some things. Kills some people. Anyway, this really wrapped up the prequel trilogy. I'm struggling to give anything an S. I don't know why. This could be an S. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm feeling like A. This could just be because my interest in Star Wars has decreased over the years, but I think I'm gonna put it as an A as well. I definitely like the prequel trilogy generally above the original trilogy, so I'm feeling okay sort of about that. Return of the Jedi is certainly up there. It holds its ground. So anyways, let's move on then to the sequel trilogy, and that one starts off with The Force Awakens, which is right here. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the sequel trilogy, and especially of The Force Awakens. I like some of the characters introduced, like Rey. I think Rey is a pretty good character. I like her. But this movie was a carbon copy of A New Hope. I mean, it's been talked about several times online. You don't need to hear me say it. You can go find videos. They made this movie because so many people, quote, hated the prequel trilogy. And again, this is when you get into the nerdy adult males, which I'm included in that. So I can rip on my class of people a bit. They say they made this for the fans and stuff, but it's come out in recent years that there is a lot of love for the prequel trilogy because all the kids that grew up on it, which again, remember, Star Wars was made by George Lucas to be kid movies, family movies. They were made for kids. And that's where I think this sequel trilogy lost its way. At this point, George Lucas had sold the rights, and now you have directors and people writing these scripts, making these movies for these adult nerd fans who like to rage on the internet. And what did they do? They just said, well, we're going to make it like the original trilogy. And here we end up having Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is a carbon copy nearly in every way of A New Hope. Yes, it has a few new things to it, but the plot points and everything that happens, it's like it follows A New Hope almost perfectly. And I didn't like it. Sure, the computer graphics and everything is a bit better. I would argue that the lightsaber battles aren't really that much better than anything that the prequel trilogy produced. I'm going to give this movie a C. It's worse than all of them. And then that brings us into The Last Jedi. Now, everybody hated this movie who liked The Force Awakens. I personally thought this movie was better, but it was so disjointed. That's the problem. You had different people writing and directing these movies. It's like they didn't have an actual plan. It was like they just sort of made a movie and then they made another one. They're like, let's see where this goes, and have a new writer on each one. You could tell it was just like disregarded everything that happened in The Force Awakens, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because I didn't love everything happening in it either. But boy, I don't even know where to rank this. I mean, both these movies are almost D level to me. I'm going to put it at a C. I don't even hardly remember everything. I remember by the end of it, you find out Rey is just nothing. She's a nobody, didn't come from any special lineages, and nobody liked that. Nobody liked that at all. So then they went back on Rise of Skywalker. They got J.J. Abrams back to direct and write it, to try to wrap it up, and he had to change things in a sense or try to fix the storyline. And it was just a mess. Just a mess by this point. I'm just going to give all of those a C. The sequel trilogy is a piece of hot garbage, in my opinion. I only saw, I think I saw Last Jedi maybe twice, Rise of Skywalker maybe twice. I'm not even sure if I saw it twice. I like Rey. She's a pretty good character. I like her the most. And I am somewhat interested in I believe they're making a further movie. I don't know if it's going to be like Star Wars Episode 10 or what, but they're making another movie with Rey in it. And I'm interested to see it just because she was the one kind of decent thing that came out of that. But Kylo Ren, like I said, Darth Maul, he's the best Sith Lord there was. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. So let's just plow through these TV shows, which I have not seen. Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Resistance, and Clone Wars. We're just going to throw those down there right off the bat. I'd never watched any of those. I might have watched one of these, like a few episodes, one of these Clone Wars ones. In fact, I think I did watch a few episodes. I'm just not going to rank them. I don't remember. So while we're on the subject of TV shows, then we have The Mandalorian. Now, I only saw season 1. By this time, when these shows started coming out, I was heavily losing my interest in Star Wars. So The Mandalorian, I gave it a shot, and honestly, I liked it. I liked it all right. I apparently didn't like it enough that I wanted to stick with it because I think they have 3 seasons and I never saw the second or the third season. But it was kind of fun, different. It reminded me a little bit of like Firefly or something, but I'm going to give it an A. I did enjoy it enough. I'll give it an A. Not really anything to do with Jedis and stuff, which is usually my favorite. But let's go Solo. So this is sort of the Han Solo origin story. I don't remember a ton of this movie. I don't remember like thinking it was the worst movie. I don't remember thinking it was a movie that needed to be made for any reason. I think I'm going to put it as a B. I would rather watch it over the sequel trilogy, but I don't remember anything standing out too heavily with it. And then that leaves me with Star Wars Rogue One, the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. What? Did you expect that from me? It is. This is a standalone movie. It takes place it bridges the gap between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. So it's sort of like episode 3.5. And wow, I would watch this one. We'll just put it at S. That's where it's going. So I would watch that one definitely again. I've seen it a couple times. It is phenomenal. The characters, everything, and even just how it wraps up in the final little Darth Vader scene and everything. Crazy. And I do think I feel comfortable with that. I'm looking at my list here. I was struggling to decide if anything should go into S rank, but Rogue One is the standout. I'm curious to know what you guys think. I have a feeling my list is a little controversial here, but do you agree? Is Rogue One S tier? I just loved it. Greatest. Loved it. That's it. That's my list. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you guys have any other suggestions for future tier list videos you'd like me to do, leave that in the comments as well. And I have the link for this tier list also in the description if you want to do your own and see how you would rank everything. Have at it. Have fun with it. That's it. So just make sure to like and subscribe to my video. Hit the bell button and you'll hear, or you won't hear. You might hear. It might ding on your phone or whatever and say, hey, I got a new video out. That's what the bell button does. So notifies you of my latest releases. And that's my video for this time. That was Star Wars movies and a little bit TV shows. So until next time, I will see you on the next Quest for Tears.